Dear learners, in this video, we are going to discuss about types of immunity. Immunity is the ability of the body to protect against all type of foreign bodies like bacteria, virus, toxic substances which can enter the body. Immunity is also called disease resistant. The lack of immunity is also known as susceptibility. Immune system is a network of lymphoid organs which include bone marrow, thymus, and spleen. The main function of the immune system is to protect against the infectious and non-infectious diseases. Types of immunity. There is two types of immunity. One is innate immunity and the another one is acquired immunity. The innate immunity is the defense against infection that can be activated immediately once a pathogen attacks the body. This is also called as body's first line of defense mechanism. There's innate immunity that occurs naturally in our body, which is result from the genetic or physiological factor of an individual. And this will not occur based on the previous infection or vaccination. This innate immunity, which is also called as natural immunity or non-specific immunity or genetic immunity or inherent immunity. The next type will be acquired immunity. This acquired immunity that an individual acquire after the birth, which is also called as acquired or adaptive or specific immunity. And this type of immunity, which is produced by the exposure of an organism to antigen, which stimulate the production of antibodies. It is specific and mediated by antibodies or lymphocytes or both, which can make the antigen harmless. Barriers of innate immunity. There is three different type of anatomical barriers in the innate immunity. In that, the first one will be the skin. Skin is the mechanical barrier which retards the entry of microorganisms. Because of the acidic environment of the skin, it retards the growth of a microorganism. The second one will be the mucous membrane. The mucus, which is secreted by the mucous membrane, is trap the microorganism and immobilize them. Microorganism and dust particle can enter the respiratory tract with air during the breathing, which will trap in the mucus. And the next part is the cilia. It is a hair-like appendages which propel the microorganism out from the body. The third anatomical barrier is the hair. The presence of hair in the nose and the skin, which is filter the entry of dust particle and the microorganism in the human body. Physiological barrier of innate immunity, in that our body normal temperature, which is used to inhibit the growth of certain pathogenic microorganism, and the fever, which is responsible for the inhibition of growth of some pathogen. The low pH of a stomach, which is used to kill the microorganism, and bile, which will not allow the growth of the microorganism, and cerumen, it is a earwax which will trap dust particle and kill bacteria and repel the insect. Urine, which wash the microbes which is present in the urethra, and some vaginal secretion is slightly acidic, which discourage bacterial growth and flush microbes out of the vagina. The next, phagocytic barrier. It is the process called phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is nothing but the engulfing of unwanted substances which is in the body. It is carried out by the neutrophil, macrophages, and natural killer cells. The next barrier is a chemical and inflammatory barriers. In that, first one will be the lysozyme. It is present in the saliva and tear, which cleaves the bacterial cell wall. And the next is the cytokine and interferons. Interferon, which induce the antiviral state in uninfected cells, and the cytokines and interferons are allowed in activation of immune components. Complement which used to lyse microorganism or facilitates the phagocytosis. The next chemical and inflammatory barrier will be lactoferrin and acute phase protein which mediate the immune response. The next will be leukotrienes and prostaglandins, which is used for the vasodilation and increased vascular permeability. And the last one will be collectin, which is used to disturb the cell wall of the pathogens. Types of innate immunity. There is three type of innate immunity. One is species immunity, which is common to all members of a species. Example, birds are immune to the tetanus infection. And the second one will be the racial immunity, which is different races show the different resistance to the diseases. The third type of innate immunity is individual immunity. The individual immunity varies between the individual of the same races. Acquired or adaptive immunity, which develops after exposure to an antigen or by transfer of antibody, which is slow response and is highly specific. That it targets a specific antigen and it can recognize millions of antigen, and the stronger response on the second encounter, and it has the memory cells which will store the memory when the same pathogen affect the person again, it will encounter it properly. And it is distinguish the body cells from the foreign substances from the self one. Types of acquired immunity. There is two types of acquired immunity. One is active immunity or natural immunity, and the another one is passive immunity or induced immunity. Again, the active immunity is classified into two: natural active immunity and the artificial active immunity. The passive immunity also classified into two. One is natural passive immunity and another one is artificial passive immunity. Active immunity. In active immunity, the person's own cell which produce antibody in response to the infection or vaccination. And it is a slow and takes time in the formation of antibody, and it is a long lasting and is harmless. The active immunity is of two type. One is natural active immunity, which is a person who has recovered from an attack of smallpox or measles or mumps, which develop natural active immunity. And the second one is artificial active immunity. And it is artificial active immunity is the resistance which is induced by the vaccination. The next type will be passive immunity. When ready-made antibodies are directly injected into a person to protect the body against the foreign agent, it is called passive immunity, and it provides immediate relief to the body, and it is not long lasting, and it may create a problem or side effect to the particular person. Next, passive immunity is a natural passive immunity. Natural passive immunity is nothing but the resistance which is passively transferred from the mother to the fetus through the placenta. The IgG antibody can cross the placenta to reach the fetus, which is giving the immunity to the particular fetus. And after the birth, the immunoglobulins are passed to the newborn through the breast milk. The human colostrum, which is called as mother's first milk, which is very rich in IgA antibody. The mother milk contain antibody which protect the infant properly by the age of 3 months. So the next type of passive immunity is a artificial passive immunity. This type of immunity is giving resistance to the recipient by the administration of antibodies. So it is done by the administration of a hyperimmune serum of a man or animal. So this serum which contains the antibody. For example, anti-tetanus serum which is prepared in horse by active immunization of a horse with the tetanus toxide, bleeding them and separating the serum. So the anti-tetanus serum which is used for the passive immunization against the tetanus. Similarly, anti-diphtheric serum and anti-gas gangrene serum are also prepared and administered those who are unable to produce that particular antibody as their own. And the branches of adaptive immunity or acquired immunity, and it contains two main components. One is humoral immunity or antibody mediated immune system, and the next one will be the cellular immunity or cell mediated immune system. In that, the first one will be humoral immunity or antibody mediated immunity. It is mediated through the antibodies. So these antibodies are produced by the B cells. These antibodies bound to specific microbial agent. So this binding of antibody to antigen is neutralize the microbes and target them for the elimination by various effector mechanism. So the humoral immunity is the major defense mechanism against the extracellular microbes trying to invade the host system. The next branch of adaptive immunity will be cell mediated immunity or cellular immunity, and this is facilitated by the activated T helper cells and cytotoxic T lymphocytes. And this cytokine secreted by the T helper cell and activated the phagocytic cell. So these activated phagocytic cell, which is get entering into the process called phagocytosis, is used to kill the microorganism. So the cell mediated immunity is particularly important against the bacterial and protozoan pathogens. Thank you.